Well guys, how are you doing? It's my first video of 2020, and firstly I'd like to wish everybody a great 2020. I hope it's a great year, and I hope that all of you guys are going to make your resolution to get out into the woods more often, get your fingers dirty and get practicing your bushcraft and survival skills. Now, we haven't done a video in over a month. I've been busy with other projects to do with survival, and I didn't really feel like putting a video out since the passing of Morris Kahansky. He died over a month ago now, and it was a huge loss to the survival community. I can't think of a bigger loss to the survival community could have. I remember as a school kid reading Morris Kahansky's books in classroom when I should have been paying attention. He definitely, you know, when I think of people that would have been mentors and people that I would have really, I suppose, are responsible for me getting involved in survival. The first one that will always spring to mind because it was the first book that I read, had just come out, and that would have been Lofty Wiseman. And Lofty is yet another legend in survival. And then I became aware of Morris Kahansky. Now Morris Kahansky, you can say, quite literally wrote the book on bushcraft. Other huge influencers there would be Ron Hood, the late and great Ron Hood. I remember watching him on videotape doing some of his stuff. Ron was another huge loss to the survival community, and another great influencer for me then as we move forward into the mid-90s, say, would and still is Cody Mundine. He's a huge influencer for me. The thing about these influencers that they all shared in common is a huge element of integrity. A bugbear of mine within the survival industry now. Something has happened survival in the last decade, and it's great that people are more interested in survival, but something has certainly happened where it has become sort of hipster cool to be into bushcraft. Look, whatever gets you out in the woods, I'm all for it, and I think that's great. And I'm sure that when the next phase comes along, there will be some sort of natural nutrition rate as well. You know what? I don't mind what anybody does as long as I get out in the woods. What I do mind is possibly taking advice from people that haven't served their time, and it could possibly have a negative impact on self-sustainability. Now, I hope you can hear me because it's very, very windy today. I'm going to take my tattoo off anyhow, and I'm going to show you, this video is all about knives. And indeed, the next couple of videos are going to be all about knives. What we're going to be testing over the next while, I'm just going to go through them. This is just in an LT Wright box, it's not actually an LT Wright. I haven't made a sheet for this yet. This is a knife that I designed and Jamie made it for me. Jamie from Tricelli Forge, and this is going to be one of the knives. Now, I haven't used it extensively. I have used it, but I haven't used it extensively because, believe it or not, which is really strange, you don't use a knife that much when you don't have a sheet for it. Now, we've other knives here that I will be testing, but we're going to test one today, so I'm just going to show you the one I'm going to test today. And the reason that this one is first is because I don't own it. This is Gary's knife. He kindly lent it to me. This is a brilliant knife. You know, sadly it has to go back to Gary, but it is a brilliant knife. It's the Bushcraft USA knife, okay? And it's made by LT Wright. And so we know, once we mention the name LT Wright, we know an incredible spine, great heat treat. And this is a superb knife. It's absolutely brilliant. That's the one we're going to actually test today, okay? I'm just going to put that there. Another knife that's going to be in the test is a Sargent Edge Tools, okay? Love this knife. 5-inch blade, A2 steel, sharp spine. I love the primitive look of it. And it's a great feel to the knife. I've been using that a bit. Next knife, I've been using this a hell of a lot over the last few months. Davey sent this down to me, Davey of Brock Knives. You know, he makes the Eagle Ridge survival knife. This is, and of course this would get the nod of approval from Morris Kahansky, as would the Bushcraft USA. It has that continuous cut and curve that Morris favoured. This is 3V steel, bush tool. and Davey put in this bearing block here for me, which is fantastic. The latest knife I've got is the J. Olson made this for me, J. Olson knives, and I've used the bearing block on it. I've cut out a few heartboards for friction fire, and I've done a little bit of battling on it. I haven't heavily used it yet, but you can see it's going to be well able for this 1095 steel. A great knife, Jay. I haven't got a sheet for that either. Now, this is less of a test for the knife, but we're going to be going through this shortly. This is the Garburg knife. Everybody knows about a Garburg. But my friend Paul Scheider, he owns Hedgehog leather sheets, and he sent me this in the prototype stages to test it. He just didn't want me to release a video or anything on it until it was really available on his website. It is a Hedgehog leatherwork sheet, especially for the Garburg. It has this funky thing here where you can wear it as a neck knife, or you can take this off and you can wear it on your belt. That's a great feature. And Paul's work, I have a lot of, if you go through my videos, you can see I have a lot of Paul's sheets, because they really are that good. He's the best out there, I think, in leather. And you will never even find as much as a flea bite on his leather. It's really, really good quality stuff. So we've one more knife to show you, and I'm loving this knife. I received it as a gift at Christmas from my family, and it's a great little knife. I have to say, I'm loving this. If I can get it off with all my naked power. So what we've got here, I'm always wearing that anyhow, so you guys know what this is. We've got a ferro rod, we've got a whistle, we've got a little torch, and we've got a lighter, some duct tape. This is the knife. It's the Tops Hanamboko Pucko. Okay, this is a great knife, and it's one of those knives that I just, bearing block on both sides, as you can see, heavily used already, even though it's only a couple of weeks old. This is a great knife. It really, really is, in my thinking, possibly one of the best knives that Tops make, and it has that 90-degree spine. You know, Tops don't really tend to do that. So, in terms of throwing sparks, it's brilliant, you know. Goran is the gentleman that designed this knife, and he has a nature reserve, Tanamboko nature reserve, and he's a great guy, and he really knows his stuff. And you can tell by this knife that this man uses knives constantly. Right, enough talk. Let's do a little bit of battling. So, we're going to about the Bushcraft USA knife. And like I said, this is another one. This would get more Skahansky's nod of approval, as would this, as would the Davey from Brock Knives, the Bush tool. You can see that this is a little bit bigger, but you can see that concurrency between the three of them, where you have this kind of continuous cutting edge. So, about wrist thick. So, sadly I have to return this knife to Gary, you know, but on the upside, I mightn't see him for 20 years, because I do really like this knife, and I will have to buy one of these without question. So it feathers, it battens no problem at all. It has a great bite in it, so for any kind of carving, if you're carving, this bites really well. So if I was keyholing out a friction fire set here and I burnt in the hole, and I like that, that's, some people cut them out with a saw, but I like to cut them like this with a knife, because I feel that it allows the dust drop to function much better, because we have these smooth edges rather than a kind of a slightly sanded edge from the saw blade, you know. So that's how it cuts. It's a great knife. We're going to test it now, the spine, but look, remember, it's an LT Wright knife, and the one thing that LT Wright really do well, they do everything well, but the thing they do exceptionally well is heat treat and a great spine. So I always tell you guys, you know, in a paracord world, never be afraid to carry a bit of jute twine in your pocket. So I fluffed this out. This is 3 inches of jute twine. Hopefully it won't blow away on me now before I get this. But as a form of initial ignition, it's hard to get better. So just to reiterate, when using a ferro rod, I like to use the method where you withdraw the ferro rod towards you rather than pushing the knife towards your tinder or what you're hoping to ignite. And the beauty of carrying a little bit of jute twine in your pocket is you're pretty much guaranteed ignition one strike. Okay, so with feathers, even when you become really good at feathers, you may not necessarily get an initial ignition with the first strike. And these things are marvellous, and they will theoretically light 10,000 fires, working on the premise that you're going to light a fire with every strike. But if you're at this 12 and 13 times before you can manage ignition, well, you're going to greatly disadvantage the amount of times that you're going to light a fire with this. Like a ferro rod is such a beneficial thing to carry, and everyone should have one. And in my experience, the best ferro rod out there is a Light My Fire, and I've tested them all, from the cheap Chinese ones to Exotacs. I like the Light My Fire ones, and they come with this funky thing now as well on the striker. Now the strikers aren't great, but I left it on it just in case you may need it, but there's a whistle on it as well. So a whistle with everything in emergency, 3 sharp bursts, and whistling is much more beneficial than shouting if you're lost. And another use of your ferro rod, at night, if there's a search party looking for you and you're lost or whatever, and you know that they're approaching, well, 3 strikes on that at night, you wouldn't believe how bright that actually is in the pitch of dark. So the ferro rod is something that everyone should really have on them at any given time. And I would go so far as to say, if you don't have it, you know, you're not really that serious about survival. For the amount of weight, you get a huge return, and that's what it's all about. You know, some people, another thing that people I find in survival, I've noticed this recently, especially people that you're teaching, they arrive and they have 5 or 6 knives on them, but they don't have one ferro rod, or they have, and you know, people say, you know, 1 is none and 2 is 1 and blah 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 blah, but I see it all the time. Knives get lost at camp because people are pulling knives out left, right and centre. Really, you know, to know where your gear is at any given time. I know I have my neck knife on me now, and I also know that I have my ferro rod and my torch, etc. So guys, I don't know which knife we're going to test next. We have Gary's one tested because that really does have to go back to him soon. I'm looking forward to giving this a good old test. I'm using this a hell of a lot. It's probably one of my most used knives. That is superb, and You know, Davey has got this 3V down now. He's got the heat temper absolutely perfect on it. So we're looking forward now to rolling out the Eagle Ridge Survival Knife, the ERSK. You know, we're 6 months testing that knife now, and like, I mean, that's how important we consider. It's very, very important that we put out a product that's good. This is a great knife. I'm really enjoying this as well. Just so many knives and not enough time, that's the problem. We have another knife coming that we're on waiting list for a long period of time, so we'll have that here next week and we'll be doing a test with that. In the meantime, I don't think we're going to be doing much else other than knife testing for the next 4 or 5 weeks, because I have a bunch of knives to get out of. So guys, I hope you're interested. Thanks for dropping by, and let me know what knife you'd actually like to see us testing next. That'd be a good one. Okay, talk to you soon, guys.